Hello, Internet family. Welcome back to the Red and White Podcast. I'm your host, Evan, and I am doing this solo. That's right, folks. If you did not listen last week, or you might have missed it, Dustin has left me high and dry. Thanks a lot. Life gets in the way. I understand, though. I'm just kidding. Hopefully he'll be back to help out with some of the other podcasts. But for now, it's me, and I'm going to try to do this by myself without sounding like too much of an idiot, more so than I normally do. But here we go. JMU thoughts. First of all, it's hot as hell. It's probably the hottest I've ever been at Carter Finley. And I'm sure it was hot on the field. And I'm curious how that impacted the game. I thought the sideline was a little lethargic. I think people probably noticed that as well. Just didn't seem to have that energy. And, 100 and something heat index will do that to you. I don't blame them. But that's got to change. It's got to change throughout the rest of the year. You need to have that fire, and I'm sure it will. I think it was just an anomaly, but it was hot, and everybody felt it, both sides. But I definitely just happened to notice it more on our sideline. Even during the big plays, there was still a little bit less energy, but it happens. Biggest thing people were concerned about between text messages and comments and whatnot is that they only put up 24 points. And I have a note here that JMU held the ball for a long time, and they had long drives. They ran the clock a lot, and it was weird because they passed, but DiNucci didn't miss many. And in fact, I think at one point he was 14 for 14. And so the clock keeps running. And there's only 8 possessions in the pack scored on 5 of them. They were close to... they had the fumble in the red zone. Tyler Baker-Williams fumble early on. And then the missed field goal. That's 10 extra points there, and that's 34. That sounds a lot better than 24. But, again, 8 possessions. I don't think it was that awful. I don't know. I didn't have too big a deal with it. I think State wanted to keep it vanilla, as everybody's been talking about, and they did. There's no real reason to put anything on tape for West Virginia. I think that's what it comes down to. West Virginia is such a big game that if you can beat these teams, a very good JMU team, and actually a good Georgia State team, if you can beat them with a vanilla offense, then that's kind of uncharted territory for State. And I think that's just one of those signs of showing progress. And JMU's very good, and if you can do what the Pac did with what they did, not showing much. When I say by not showing much, they didn't run like everybody's talking about. They didn't run out of the 4 wide set, which is we imagine is going to happen. You're going to put your 4 wide receivers out there in Gillespie, and you're going to make them tackle him. And they didn't show that, and they didn't show many passes to the running backs. It was just pretty boring. And that's what you expect. And if they can go out there and beat a team, a very good GMU team, by doing that, I think that's a good thing. I'm not worried about the points. So if they only put up 24 against Georgia State this weekend, then I might think we have something to talk about. But right now, it's a non-story. JMU had some long drives because defense couldn't get off the field. I thought that was maybe something to think about and talk about. Similar to South Carolina last year, where the QB stepped up in the pocket and just converted several third downs where lost contain, whatever. But again, like they did last year, they cleaned that up, and that didn't happen too much after that game. The quarterbacks didn't beat us by extending drives like that. I thought DiNucci did a really good job running and kind of taking what was in front of him. And that's what you get when you have an experienced kid like that. So I don't know. That plays a part into the score. And I don't know. I thought it was fun. I think otherwise the D played pretty good. They didn't give up any big plays, which I think that's something to be happy about. I mean, considering how bad we've been burnt in the past and how bad the secondary has looked in the past. They kept everything in front of them. They tackled really well. They didn't really do anything stupid, which was good. They had some turnovers, all those good things. When you have a tough matchup like that, 6'5" wide receiver Stapleton, and he's going to play on Sundays, and you can contain him for the most part. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, DiNucci was 14 for 14, like I mentioned at one point, but it was only for like 83 yards or 93 yards or something like that. So he wasn't completing a lot deep. He was just, he was pretty consistent there. But that's also a testament to the defense. They kept it in front of him. They let him take those rather than get beat over the top, and I'd take that all day. I'd rather. I think it's a misconception these days where you're going to shut out teams. You're going to hold them to nothing. I mean, that just doesn't happen. I think the offenses are too dynamic, and the players are too good that you'll see that at every school. That they're going to score, and there's not many teams that are going to hold somebody to nothing, or hold somebody to 10 points. I mean, Alabama will, but there's not many of those. And I don't expect us to be one of those. I just expect us to play sound, not play dumb. That's what I want. Don't play dumb. Don't give up anything stupid. And they, for the most part, did that. There's a couple of plays where I thought they could have maybe adjusted a little bit differently. I highlighted one on Twitter, and I couldn't tell what the number was when I rewatched the game. But if you go to the Red White Podcast feed, you'll see some screenshots and such that I was cutting up from the game, and it was a bubble screen. It was kind of a busted play almost because I forgot who it was. Maybe it was, I don't know, one of the defensive ends. Or no, it was Pratt. Pratt came on a contain on the side, and he got up into DiNucci's face, and it was kind of a bubble screen. It was kind of a busted screen. And Pratt made him throw it faster than he wanted to, and I think it was Ingle steps up and presses the corner, which you're supposed to do, kind of run him into the screener. But the safety didn't. I don't know what the safety was doing. He was looking in the backfield or looking at the running back. Maybe he bit on the play action, and he just kind of drifted towards the middle. And so they threw it back to the bubble screen, and there was nobody there to tackle him, and they picked up 30 yards or something like that. That was the one mistake, and that was just on safety misread. I'm not sure what he was looking at. I think it must have been the run, and he cheated over and paid for it. But otherwise, I thought the defense played good. Special teams was fine. AJ Cole, I don't know. I think he had a 36-yard average. I expected a little more from him, but he only had 2 punts. Not a big deal. Thayer Thomas looked good on the return. All the backup wide receivers looked good in the game too. Riley, Mecca, Mezzi. I mean, all those guys made some big catches and played well. So, a lot of positives there. And again, you can beat a team like JMU by not doing anything fancy, then by all means, it's good. I guess the concern everybody's talking about is the running game. What happened? Why did nobody get anything? The O-line pass protected well, it seemed like. And at times they opened up some big holes for RG3, but I don't think it was as consistent as you would expect. And again, on Twitter, I highlighted one play where it looked like, and I don't know the play call, and I don't know if it was meant to be this way, but Ricky Person, I think it might have been his first or second carry. He gets it, and instead of being patient, he bounces it outside. And JMU had become they had 7 men in the box, and I think the backer was blitzing, or he was just sitting there waiting for him. And Person probably used to in high school being able to bounce outside and just outrun everybody, but instead, there was a giant hole on the right side. And if he had waited maybe one more second, he might have had a chance to go through it. But I don't know. I don't know if that was a play call, if he was supposed to go outside, or if it was just a misread on his part. And that comes from inexperience and not practicing and all that. So I think that'll change. I think we'll see something different. I think they'll run out of the 4 wides, and that should get a little bit less pressure in or crowded in the center, I guess. And you read all the accounts that JMU just likes to play that way. They'll put 7 in the box and they play man on the outside because they have 2 very good corners. And that impacts the run game. I don't think everybody's going to be able to do that. I definitely don't think everybody's going to be able to do that against our wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. I really like to play from, I'm jumping around here, back on defense, the linebackers. Jermaine Pratt and Isaiah Moore had 10 and 12 tackles. But they looked like linebackers. I know it sounds stupid, but I always say that about Arius Moore and Jared Fernandez, that they didn't look like your prototypical linebackers, and you can tell that there's an athleticism bump with these two on there. Now, they might not have the experience and might get exposed at some point, but Pratt is going to be a monster at linebacker, and Moore looked really good. I mean, they were both all over the place making tackles, and they didn't look to be a liability, which you might expect from 2 essentially first-year starters. So I thought that was good. The D-line I thought was okay. They need to get more pressure. Ibrahim Conte came in and got 2 sacks, and that's what you want to see from a guy, a guy like that in your backup role. I mean, that just shows a little bit more depth in the position, and to be honest, it makes you feel a little better about where the program is as a whole when a guy like that comes in his first game. He's a redshirt freshman, comes in and immediately gets 2 sacks, gets some pressure. I think he helped cause the fumble that Big E got. But he looked good, and James Smith-Williams was doing well. He had a really good push on the outside. So, I mean, overall, it was fine. They need to get to the quarterback a little bit more. I think they will. Again, that's probably part of the vanilla offensive strategy. It's probably also the same on the defensive side. Just keep it in front of you. Don't expose anything. Don't show anything. And hope that's enough to get out with a W, and it was. So, good on them. Overall, so I was happy with it. I was happy that we won against JMU. I know a lot of people started getting nervous as that game started approaching, but I think you can kind of have a little bit more faith in where the program is. And I think winning a game like that against a very good JMU team shows you that. I mean, those corners of JMU were really good. I really liked them. I thought just all around they were they're obviously a well-coached team. My love for Mike Houston is no secret. We were talking about it last week. So, overall, happy. It's a good win. It's a very good win. And not a whole lot to be concerned with, but they also didn't show a whole lot, so it's really hard to judge anything. And just like the rest of the NCAA, it's really hard to tell much from week 1. On to Georgia State this weekend. It's kind of weird. Even on social media, Twitters, and such, it hasn't seemed a whole lot of buzz about the game. And I know it's Georgia State, but they're not a bad team. And I don't know. I just thought there'd be a little bit more excitement. I don't know if the heat from the JMU game took the sales out of everybody, but yeah, I don't know. Georgia State's pretty good. I suggest everybody go listen to the IPS preview with the Georgia State guy. I mean, he's fairly passionate about Georgia State and very well informed. And I thought it was really good. They like to play fast. So the things I've been reading, they like to play fast. They have a small line, which is, good for us. But they have a very good wide receiver and a dynamic quarterback who likes to run. He's actually their leading rusher. So we'll see how, if the Pack improves on getting contained on a guy like that. And I imagine they will. But the game speed should probably be a little bit faster than the JMU game. So I expect some more points from both sides. I think the Pack's favored by 25.5. I mean, to me, that seems a little high. I think it seems very high. I'm going to go with like a 40-22, maybe, something like that. some random ass number, 40-25. So I don't know. Don't bet the spread. I don't love it. Team like that, still a lot to prove for us. So it should be interesting. Should be a good game regardless. Another good test for State going into preparation for West Virginia. Like another thing with Georgia State is that they played Kennesaw State running a triple option last week, so there's no real telling what you're going to see from them on the defensive side and how good they are and whatnot. But they do have a tall, good wide receiver, Penny Hart, I believe his name is. So keep an eye on that guy and their quarterback. I think that's kind of the keys to the game. Contain those two, and you should be okay. I really like what they're doing with the Ice Wolf uniforms. I think those things are sick. The helmet's awesome. I really like the helmet. I'm really happy that they've rebranded, so to speak, away from the Block S and into the Wolf. I put this out last week that I was happy that, or it's just frustrating. Every time you travel somewhere, anywhere I go, it was in the States or overseas or somewhere, and I wear my state visor, and people would look at it and see the S, like, oh, Stanford, you go to Stanford? I'm like, no, dude, there's an N and a C on here. You can go to Stanford. So be happy to get away from that. I really like the Wolf logo. I like how it looks everywhere. The helmets that they have this week look really good. Somebody asked online earlier, like, why wouldn't they say this for West Virginia? I'm pretty sure they're going to bring something red out for West Virginia. That game's going to be on like ESPN2 or ABC or something regionally, and they'll probably go all red and something pretty dope for that as well. Really like the Ice Wolf theme, though. Looks really good. And tip of the hat to the NC State creative team. Not sure what you call them, but the video they put out for the preview of this game was really good. A little Game of Thrones mixed in. I thought it was fantastic. Really stepping up. I think it's really helped the perception, the brand, and I think it's part of what the program needed. Need a little life into it. So good on them for doing that. Taking a look around the league, just around other games that I watched. Some interesting things. Miami got trucked. I think nobody on this podcast is surprised about that. We talked about how we thought they were overrated, and Rozier's just not very good. I was surprised how bad their defense was and how just discombobulated they looked across the board. So, everybody was chalking them up to Charlotte. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I wasn't so sure about that to begin with, but it's still early, I guess. Maybe LSU's really good, but Miami just didn't look good. Somebody that did look good, Virginia Tech, playing Florida State down in Tallahassee. It's pretty well confirmed that Bud Foster is just a dirty wizard. There's no other way around it. No way you can take a team with that many new faces, new bodies, and hold Florida State to 3 points. That's filthy. It's just such a good coaching job. I don't think their offense was fantastic, but I think they're going to be the class of the Coastal for sure. It's still a long way to go, but good signs for the Hokies, especially considering how much they lost. Lost some guys in the secondary. I think they dismissed 2 of their starting corners, or at least guys in the 2 deep over the summer, and you come out and hold FSU to 3 points. Good on them. I think I heard a stat on the Yahoo Sports College podcast, and the guys said Cam Akers had, let me get these numbers right, 14 for 83 yards with a long of 89. It's like, that's unbelievable. That's such a good defensive game. That he had one big run. That's pretty impressive. And FSU just looked bad. We called it last week. Our lone Florida Gator follower has repeatedly told us that Willie Taggart is a bum. And, I know it's early, but 3 points for an FSU team returning one of the, arguably one of the best backs in the ACC, and just all the talent that you do have at Florida State. That'd be unacceptable. That's just very bad, and I don't think it's going to get much better for them. They don't have a guy that is going to run the Willie Taggart system. I mean, DeAndre Francois, he's not good. He wasn't good before. He wasn't good before he got hurt. Everybody just has some sort of revisionist history of him being good, but he's not. And Blackman behind him is not much better. And neither one of them are going to run the read option, and not what Willie Taggart wants to do. And I don't think that relationship's going to last very long, but we'll see. They had a lot of talent to look that bad and that disorganized. I thought that was, if I was an FSU fan, I'd be disappointed. But as a State fan, I'm like, all right, good for us. Bama looked like a monster. Again, Bama makes everybody look bad, but how much does that say about Louisville? I don't know. I don't think you can take much from that game. They just, with Tua playing quarterback, I mean, they looked so good. And Louisville looked not so good. Louisville was talking a lot of trash going into that game. Their wide receivers were confident that they would get free whenever they wanted to, and they didn't. They didn't look good at all. But it also helps when you have a Bama defensive line just crushing Juwan pass just repeatedly. So hard to tell, man. It's for them, but for anybody, you just don't know after week one. Who knows? Locks of the week last week, Dustin crushed it. He was actually his UConn theory is 1 for 1 so far this year. I'm gonna ride it this week. I forgot who UConn plays. I have it open somewhere here, but they're an underdog, and I think, let's see if I have it open still. This makes for good radio. Connecticut, Boise State. So UConn is 31.5-point dog to Boise State, and I think I'm going to take Boise State and give the points. I think I'm going to ride Dustin's theory. I think that's crazy, but my lock of the week this week though is Baylor over UTSA. Baylor's only a 15-point favorite, and they looked all right last week, and I'm pulling for Jalen McClendon. So by all means, Baylor, hopefully they run it up. I expect at least a 3-touchdown game there. No concerns. I think that's fine. Last week also, the Matt Canada update. Matt Canada somehow beat Texas in his head coaching debut. The dude continues to just befuddle me. I don't understand him. I don't understand how they won that game. I don't know, man. It's crazy. That's good for them. I think Texas is not back. Texas is a long way from it. I can't imagine how Tom Herman feels after that. I don't understand that one. I don't understand how Texas can have every resource in the world at their disposal and still be mediocre and lose to Maryland again in back-to-back years. Was the program in that bad a shape? I can't believe it. I find that really hard to believe. But yeah, that's a short episode this week. And I know it's late. I have a sick child who's been quite rowdy at the house, so made recording hard. But I'll try to get it out early the week next week. And keep your text messages coming. I really enjoyed, some of them during the game last week, and keep them coming. I think it's good. If you have any questions or comments, 919-766-0096. As always. And thanks for listening. Go back.